ხო არა და კარგად დაიწყოთ.
All right. So before we begin, this is our new podcast, which will be the pilot version. And obviously, the first thing that I want to tell you is why we decided to do that. The main reason is that we always had it in our minds, but there are a lot of people and a lot of types of groups, friendly groups or like the working environment, and a lot of people are having really good ideas, really good thoughts. And in our group as well, in our friendship, and technically, I mean, our friendship is starting from the school period, and all the groups that I have around me are mostly from this school period. And a lot of people are saying that we are having really good thoughts about some different topics. Specifically, the topic that we want to discuss is really well known, and a lot of people are devoted to that, which is modern 9 to 5 jobs and the culture compared to the previous decades, and how is it going right now. We already have a vast experience about that, so we just wanted to share any kind of thoughts, experiences, what we have, and our podcast will be built around that. So one more time, this is just the pilot version. We're going to see where it goes, how it goes, and not to go above and beyond, my name is Rezi, and today we will be with our friend as well, which is Levan. And mostly it will be built around him because he has a lot of experience, not only in our country, which is Georgia, but abroad as well. And we're going to be talking about that. So, first of all, can you tell me, Levan, before the introduction of yourself, what do you think specifically what it is 9 to 5 job for you?
Thank you, Rezi. Okay, so before I go ahead and give the introduction about myself, modern 9 to 5 is more challenging as it used to be for lots of different reasons. One of which is, after COVID, the career world is different nowadays. So, like Rezi said, what we realized is that we do have lots of different experiences over our career since we became 21, 22 years old. We're already 30. We know that it's difficult for young adults, young professionals to navigate themselves.
Not that good to be 30, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of people, including my brother, my younger brother, and many people around me, I know that they are struggling. I know that they want to do better. They want to advance in their careers. They need more insights. They need to know like whether to take courses, whether to take some training, or go abroad and try a different career, or get some education. Thankfully, I do have some experience, some insights that I can share. Like you mentioned, it's not going to be, the direct right path to success, but it's going to be one of the many insights that they can research, and I think it might be very helpful for them. This is one of the reasons why I agreed that, we do have some topics to discuss. And we do have some things to share, so I think it might be very helpful for young adults. As for me, myself, I'm Levan. Like Rezi mentioned, we've been longtime friends since high school or middle school. Is it right? Yeah, middle school.
I think it was middle, yeah.
Yeah.
Seventh grade. I consider
Seventh grade, that sounds right. So basically the reason why we decided to give this a try and do this pilot version is that lots of people around us are telling us that anytime we start discussing, anytime we have conversation, it's whether we drink or just a casual conversation, it always sounds a bit engaging for a lot of people, and we always have our audience. So why not try to, go above and beyond and try to give these insights to lots of. It might be interesting, and we chose the English language just because it's the most spoken language. But yeah, time after time we might have some Georgian people invited as well, depending on how the show goes and who is going to be watching us. But yeah, our understanding is that it's not just a topic for Georgia per se. It's not just a topic for Eastern Europe per se. It's lots of people, especially in my experience, lots of Asians, lots of Middle Eastern people, Europeans as well, they try to navigate their careers better. They want as many insights as they can get before they make drastic decisions about their lives. So yeah, why not? We grew up in Georgia. We spent most of our lives in Georgia, but why not try to share this experience for people to Ukraine, people to Poland, people to Saudi Arabia, Dubai.
Basically anyone.
Anyone.
Basically
I'm
anyone.
probably not anyone because I'm sure that it's not as interesting for an American listener, for example, because it's a different world. I don't know because the insights that we're gonna give is gonna be mostly from people who spend most of their times around Eastern Europe. So I would say like bilingual people who try to get their jobs in the international companies. And US already have all sorts of international companies and opportunities at their hand, locally.
Right. So in your understanding, like European 9 to 5 is different than the American 9 to 5?
Oh, definitely. I mean, at least that's what I heard. I've never been to US for one. I have to say this, but it's like from my research and from my experience in with the European colleagues and with the American colleagues, they do say that it's very, very different. Basically,
So like cultural difference?
Not just cultural, but in terms of efficiency and workload as well. It's a world-known fact that Americans just work more. Europeans get, more vacation days, more sick leaves, more freedom, more work-life balance, especially in the Western Europe and Northern Europe, countries like Norway, Sweden. It's a well-known fact that Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, generally speaking, they have better work-life balance than Americans. Yeah. Cool. I thought we had some technical issues. So
That was not a technical issue.
As for the Americans, yeah, they generally speaking, obviously, lots of us heard that they do work more, lots of overtimes as well, less vacation time. And yeah, basically, lots of people, they get drained, and it's very career-focused and very productivity-focused work culture. So, yes, modern 9 to 5 differs in different cultures, and I'm ready to share what I've learned here in Georgia and how is it different in UK, for example.
Yeah, let's stay on that point. So I know that you've been working here as well in Georgia and abroad. So you've been in Manchester and you worked there. Can you tell differences in between these two?
Yeah, I guess it starts a little bit back because before I went to Manchester, I originally went there to study, to do the MBA.
Yeah, but you also worked there, right?
Yeah, for a while, about 6 months at Revolut. Yeah, which was very stressful, very different from what I'm used to. It's the classic modern remote job. It was based in UK, but it was remote. I was free to go to the office as well whenever I wanted, but the thing is, I was living in Manchester. I was based in Manchester, and the job was the head office was in London, which is like 6 hours by train. So it wasn't definitely the most comfortable option for me to travel there and work from the office. So I had to face the challenges that the regular remote workers face.
Don't we also have it in Georgia as well? That people are really traveling from even from different cities just to arrive at the job.
Yeah, but not for 6 hours, I guess. Right?
So, yeah, 6 hours. I guess that's too much. Was it really 6 hours for you?
I mean, if you go by Google Maps, it's like 5 hours by the train. But you need to get prepared in the morning. Then
Still,
you need to travel.
Okay, that's still too much.
Basically, I needed to change the location if I wanted to work from the office. So that was not an option because my arrangement was that my given salary was not enough to live comfortably in the London because rents are roughly 3.5 times more expensive than in Manchester, especially if you're in the areas where where lots of business offices are built. So
you didn't had any chance to work remotely there?
Oh.
Because that's one of the topics that I want to discuss. Because the position that you were on.
No, I was working remotely. This is what I said. So the thing is, but I could also work from the office.
Right. So that's exactly what I want to ask. Because your position, which is the operations part,
yes,
And do you think that I just want to have any kind of comparison? Okay, there are three types of things that could be like in live environment to work, like remotely, or like the hybrid, which is the combination of
Yeah.
all these three. What do you think? I mean, which one is best out of that three?
In my experience, it's
Yeah.
always better when you have both
No,
options.
from the operational part, okay?
Yeah,
There might be like
in my
really-
experience, mostly my experience is in the operations, right? So I would say hybrid is better option because you have the option to go to the office as well. Because time after time, it's
I mean,
very
I mean
efficient
about
to-
when you're
yeah.
giving instructions to the people and
Yeah.
you just need to be in the live environment specifically compared to if someone is remotely, would it be like, would it have the same effect compared to in the live environment?
If the question is about having whether it's going to have the same effect or not, whether you're telling people in the meeting room or in the virtual room, I would say it's more or less the same. But the difference is that it's tougher sometimes to communicate one-on-ones and basically just to fit 8 hours jobs in the what I'm saying is that you get more overtimes in the remote work just because people don't reply to your messages sometimes.
So that is complication. I'm saying that because I mean during the time when it was the COVID period and I was working from home, it was really hard to have any kind of team meetings or stuff like that when you just need to give some kind of instructions and there is no chance to like specifically in the live environment if something is happening right there and right now and you just need to do that on the spot.
Yeah. I think I understand better the question now. It definitely is easier sometimes to arrange meetings when these real-time decisions to make them in the real life experience for sure. Because like I said, sometimes you can check everybody's calendar, but it's very difficult to get permission from everyone to okay, let's discuss this topic, let's do this. Sometimes you don't know what people are doing because remote work, it says it's a 9 to 5 job, but it isn't because. Especially like okay, let's go by the examples in Revolut, for example, the way we used to work. Nobody's like giving you this clear schedule. You need to do this, you need to do that, time after time. It's really up to you, and it's the same at every level. Of course, there are mandatory meetings, with the higher level of management to demonstrate what you've been doing for the past few weeks, the results, the action plans, everything basically. And you're doing the same with your subordinates and your team. So you have these mandatory meetings and one-on-ones and general team meetings. But other than that, everybody's free to approach their work as they go. Like you need to be your time manager. So the problem with that is you don't really know what people are doing. They could be just doing putting anything in their calendar, such as lots of people, mostly organized people, they would even tell you when they're going to lunch, when they're going to short breaks, stuff like that. Mostly, I have to say, like Indians are very organized in that way. We had people from all around the world, lots of people working remotely. So you understand, but sometimes people start putting the meetings that there aren't necessarily meetings, so you don't really know. And sometimes when they are free, it's very difficult to reach them, and you can't just count on people replying to you in any second. So I would say the biggest difference is that when you're in the office, you can just go and approach someone, and you can have this face-to-face meeting. And if there's something urgent, you can just manage like that. So there are some benefits working in the office, of course, in real life. But everybody prefers remote work for obvious reasons. It's more comfortable, it's more cozy, and it saves time and saves lots of money on travel.
Yeah, I think remote work is one of the perks, which is like one of the next topic that I want to ask and discuss with you. Do you remember like in the office? Where like in the TV show Office, when the Michael says, I mean, it's not about the salary, it's all about the perks or something like that. I mean, there's
like having sex with Jan, right?
Exactly. No, that also. But about the $100 bill gas or something like that, and put a price tag on that. He says something.
Oh
like that.
yeah.
So, can you tell me compared to the companies that you worked here and then compared to the Revolut, do they have like different perks, or what are some kind of perks that you think that might be really motivational for the employees?
Yeah, I would say they didn't necessarily have like any extraordinary type of perks, but the difference was that the types of perks they gave you, like, difference was mostly in the quality of the
Like
perks.
what?
Like what? Let's say, Revolut metal plan, which is I don't know if you're familiar with the Revolut is actually very
Not
strong.
at all.
The biggest, no, not the biggest, but one of the most innovative digital banks around the world. They've had tremendous success over the past few years, and their fintech digital bank is actually very strong. So it has lots of things implemented inside it. So these metal plans give you access to different stuff like discounts in the places where you go, very strong commission exchange rates in different while traveling, like regular benefits such as gyms. I don't know, like wherever you basically order food from, they would just track your data and they would give
So
you
the common perks.
the common perks, but you have this subscription that costs actually, depending on the plan, it goes higher. So there's monthly payments. So and if they give you the good plan, that's a big benefit, right? So it depends. If you're asking me what was the different in terms of perks for.
I mean, did they had some kind of a weird perks? Because I've heard there are some
I
kind
wish
of perks.
they had, but not really.
Weird. The weirdest one I've heard that okay, you can bring like on Fridays pets in the office. Okay, I mean, if you have a pet or
They
something like
did
that.
have all this, best practices that, well-known trends. And they always did that. It just I'm not the best guy to ask that because I never really went to the office. So it's I know that they had these pet days and they had lots of gatherings as well, office parties. The different type of perk they would that they had was actually trips to Ibiza, trips to different places. Every once in like corporate parties, the regular one, but
On
because
corporate parties, they were going on Ibiza.
yes, and they would basically have budget for traveling from everyone from around the world. Like I told you, lots of
You
people
mean,
working.
I think, yeah, sorry. So you mean like for the upper management?
Overheads basically, like
Okay.
starting from team leaders, because you can't just do it for everyone, right? You would be bankrupt if you had such practices. But yeah, basically it's a very good incentive because everybody who is trying and to advance internally in Revolut and has just in the lower level management, so it comes with lots of benefits. So basically they would invite these managers from all around the world, people from Portugal, Spain, South America, lots of people from Asia, like I said, Indians, Chinese people as well, someone like myself from Georgia. It wouldn't really matter whether I was in UK or even if I had a trip from in Georgia by then. They would just allocate this money to travel to get everyone in the same point, and we would have lots of fun. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to go, and then I left. So I didn't really get a chance to do this perk, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I've heard later from my colleagues.
The idea here is that do you think that these are some kind of perks and in the job wise, okay, are there some people and some of the employees that are staying on the job just because of these perks? And can they hide some other really important issues? For example, even if someone is unable to go upper levels or something, but they are staying there because, okay, these are some kind of perks that I enjoy and let me stay there. And isn't that like the trap
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
company's side? Let's just give them this and not give some other opportunities. For
Well, that
example.
makes perfect sense because I don't know if it's a bad or good thing, but Revolut is exactly that kind of company that tries to overcompensate the bad work culture with these types of benefits. Also, they pay above the average salary. Their salary is way above the average around the UK, at least. And they also give the stock options. So I would say yes, probably most people stay because of the remuneration that they receive and the types of perks that they receive. I wouldn't say it's necessarily because they love working there. So I guess that's the question, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you like that type of approach to cover some other issues
No,
based on
I
perks?
don't.
So what would you do?
I left as an employee. I would leave and I left, but as an entrepreneur, it really depends what you want. And what Revolut wants is to have the best product accessible nowadays. I would say they are pretty close to that goal because their product is really, really amazing. And like I said, now I understand why. Because even though the work culture is bad, they pay so their pay is so attractive that lots of people still stay there. Even for the stock benefits, it makes a lot of financial sense to stay there, because the way company is growing, it really does seem like their stock price is going to go, kind of skyrocket once they go IPO, which is what they're doing right now. So from the entrepreneur perspective, from the owner's perspective, I would say depends on what he's trying to do, what kind of company, what kind of employer he wants to be. And the way I see it, he doesn't really care about, making everyone happy. Just they are not really people managers. I would say they are KPI and results managers.
Right,
mostly.
That's what Revolut does. I'm asking, what would you do if
What
you
would
were
I
in
do?
their place? Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a tough question. I mean,
since you were telling me that you don't like their approach, so what would be your approach?
I don't like from the perspective of the employee, but unfortunately, I don't have the expertise to answer that question, because I didn't really have any startup that goes like remotely close to that level. So
You had the shots about some kind of startups. I know that, okay, because we are friends. And,
and I
what do you
failed
think?
them.
Why? So why?
Maybe I was
it
focused too
didn't
much
go
on the
well?
human factor. Maybe I'm not the right person. But you know what I mean. Like I don't like Revolut's approach. You're asking me what I would do.
Yes.
I would probably do the same, because it wouldn't be up to me and up to my preferences. It would be about what makes financial sense, right? It's business. It's not a charity. So that's why I'm saying it's a tough question.
And even if you would do that the same.
Yeah, I mean, if the pay is good and if people are still staying there and they are working, nobody really cares what Levan wants from the job, right? Obviously, I would like to have those amounts of perks and compensation with the better work culture, but that doesn't really happen in the reality. So I would say probably I would be happy more with better balance. I'm okay with the pay cut, but I need better work culture where people are actually supportive, and where it's less pressure to deliver week by week, which is what Revolut was doing. They wanted results like that. They would just upper level management would jump into the situations out of nowhere, and they would just ask results for the next week. And if you don't have those results, then your case had to be rock solid. And it's very complicated, because it's when you're working with the product, many details, many nuances, but sometimes it's very difficult to explain all of these details to your manager when the meeting is, when they never have the time, and your delivery has to be in 30 minutes, and they just want to see the green numbers.
Okay,
So,
I think I understand what you're saying. Let me just then paraphrase the question, okay? Because when I'm asking, what would you do differently? You're telling me I'm gonna do exactly the same. Let's imagine now that from the employee's perspective, what would you offer to the company that they can do better, so they can feel more comfortable? Or
yeah, the way I see it, the biggest problem there was that they are growing so fast. They're struggling with managing this fast growing, so to say. What I mean is they need a little bit more structure to their growth management, I would say, which means that there has to be better communication. There has to be how do you improve the culture, right? You receive these feedbacks from everyone, like you told me. What would I say to Revolut?
Would you hire any kind of research company that might do the
have all
research
of
from the
those
third
things.
eye and from their perspective?
So there's one thing to have all of those things, on the paper, but and there's another thing to actually implement them and actually do that. So when you ask me what would I suggest, I've actually done that. I've suggested lots of improvement examples. Maybe have a better onboarding plan, like a step-by-step guide to the operations manager, for example.
Okay.
Yeah. When I
Yeah, so
started,
that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
yeah, but they don't really do that because nobody has time for that.
No,
You know what I mean?
they don't do that. But if you were on their place, you would do that, right? You would have better onboard.
That's why I'm saying I don't know if I would do that.
Why
because,
not?
Because the company is growing so fast. There's a saying, like mostly Americans do that. When the economy is going fast, when your economy is growing, you can ignore lots of flaws around it. Things might not be perfect, but if while you're growing, you have this luxury to ignore lots of things, and I think that's what they're doing right now. Revolut, they're growing. Company makes financial sense, and they don't really have time to take care of all these issues that I see. That it seems quite a big to me, but it might not be as big in the bigger picture.
Okay,
You
so
know,
if
I wasn't to that level to make these judgments. You know what I
got
mean?
it.
Mhm.
If I understood it correctly, so you're saying if something is not broken, don't fix it.
No, not really. If something is broken,
If it's
you
not
can
broken,
postpone it.
if it's not
If it's not
broken,
broken, yeah,
don't
yeah.
do anything.
It is a bit broken though. Okay,
But
so
you're saying that the
let me
economy
correct.
is growing, then why it's broken? I mean, it works. It's going further. What's the problem?
But they have high turnover. So people are leaving, like myself. I'm not the only example. Like everybody spends a couple of months there, maybe a year if you're lucky, and then they leave. Then they have to do this all over again. So that is obviously a problem because it's costly to do that. So what I mean is, most likely this costs the benefits that these people bring, even though they live, outweigh the cost that goes around the circle. Hiring, rehiring. So what I mean is, they should take care of this problem, but maybe later, once they go IPO and once it starts to actually affect their stock prices. I'm assuming it already would if they were public, but I think what they're doing is they're just getting the best out of it while they can, and once they will be publicly available and just anybody can buy their stocks, then people will start actually researching: do these employees like working there? Do they have correct gender balance? All sorts of things that come.
Oh, so first you need to reach that level, and only after that.
That's
start?
what I think. That's what they're doing. I'm not saying that's necessarily the right way to do it. I'm just thinking. When you ask me what I would do if I was their owner, I don't know. I'm not sure because I don't have all the facts. I'm just making this judgment call that I think that's what they're doing. They're ignoring many issues inside because the company is still growing, the product is getting better, which is a fact. So they think that this structure works for now. But what I mean is, it might backfire once they go IPO and once they start, once this whole thing might affect their stock prices. That's just my opinion.
Ooh, okay, a lot of things there. Okay, I think. I think I
but
got the
you
point.
still you should still take their offer if they're giving you a good job, because maybe just for 1 year to to get money, to see how things work in the high performing tech company.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Then can you tell me because that one was really detailed, I think. Can you tell me about some things about how to avoid toxic bosses, so to speak? Or did you had that type of experience?
Oh
that had
man,
a toxic
if
boss?
it- if
Or
it-
where
if
you
it-
were a boss, were you toxic? Sorry.
I hope I wasn't, but definitely I had some horrible bosses, as the movie calls them.
Yeah, good one, by the way. Yeah, both
Yeah,
of the
I'm,
parts.
I'm not sure if there's a way to avoid the toxic people and toxic managers in general. I think there's a saying. No, there's not a saying, but Robert Greene, one of my favorite writers, he says that try not to outshine your master, right? So you shouldn't be outperforming or basically be better than your boss sometimes if your boss has the fragile ego. And I believe most toxic bosses do have fragile egos. So I had this experience where people around us, they enjoyed my ideas more, they enjoyed my approach more. So they would listen to me
People,
more.
like the other employees, not the bosses.
Yes, but I was also their boss. But my boss was also had his certain visions, and he would also come into and micromanage me and spread his ideas as well. And he would see that everybody enjoyed working with me, and he wouldn't get the same vibe from everyone, and he wouldn't like it. So he would translate that dislike towards me, which would maybe this is a subjective take, but that's how I felt, that I would get punished sometimes unreasonably.
So what to do in that situation? How to fix that? I mean, you're saying that you just need to hold yourself and maybe like not promote your ideas because it might
maybe not in
backfire
front of him, not in front of him, right? So you don't outshine him. Basically, don't be so visibly better than him, and
So for
try
the
to.
young generation who are just starting their careers, your suggestion and offer is not to outsmart and not to outshine now?
Just be humble. Try to follow instructions as much as you can. I mean, if the boss is really toxic, and we're discussing toxic boss, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you understand it, and at some point you do understand it, right? But if the boss is good, you don't have to be like that, because good boss will never make you feel bad about your ideas. He will never suppress them, and he will actually encourage you to give more, and he will even encourage you to make some mistakes as well, because mistakes is the way to learn. But toxic boss will make you feel bad about making mistakes, and he or she will have to prove you that they are always better and more competent than you. And even though you're trying, or even though your ideas work, they would still like to have those implemented in a different way and the way they want.
Right.
What I
So
mean?
in that case, wouldn't these people just stuck on their position? So what to do? That's the general question here.
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't really get stuck because, I'm not promoting here toxicity or anything like that, but most people that get promoted, they do have lots of bad traits in them. So the thing is, mostly those types of people are very narcissistic, very selfish as well, and very career oriented. So they can, nobody really cares whether they're toxic or not, if the company is producing, moving forward. Again, when it comes down to it, business is all about numbers, right? For at least for the shareholders, it might not be for some people for some people all about numbers, and they might care for human factor as well, like myself, which is a good branding for for the owners as well. But the reality is that if the company is putting good numbers, they don't really care who feels what. So that's why toxic managers still make it to the top. And, until it gets to the point where everybody hates this person and people start pushing back and they actually want this guy to be removed.
Yeah. Again, that they can make at the top, I understand that because they are bosses.
Yeah.
Okay, they are plus already on the top, and they can still move forward. I'm talking about for the people, for like really average Joe type of guys who are okay working on the job under this boss, and they have good ideas.
Yeah.
But they are what you said is that they should not promote. They should like suck up their ideas and just follow the instructions. Wouldn't So what would be suggestion? What to do when you have toxic boss? How to act in that circumstance?
If you are a really smart guy, like the average Joe type guy, like you mentioned, but you have all these ideas that you want to share, and you see that your boss is toxic. You need to strategize really well. And what I mean is you need to have a long-term plan. Like how are you going to get rid of this toxic boss at first? What I mean is you won't, if the environment is dysfunctional, you can't really show yourself and you can't really advance, right?
So what to do?
So that's what I'm saying. You need to strategize. So maybe you can somehow change your boss. Maybe you can switch to different departments. Maybe you can. Maybe it's not your place, and you need to leave, because that's the problem with the toxic bosses. Unless everyone is on board and everybody hates him, you can't really do anything. Because, like I said, if you outshine him, it's gonna backfire because he or she won't like it. So yeah, I guess the advice is to leave them, one way or another. But if you can still handle your boss, and you can play with him, play your cards right, or like share some of the ideas personally to him, and not go over his head. Maybe they might appreciate you more. But I'm not sure if that's the way, because I don't have a lot of faith in the toxic bosses. So probably it's the best way to live and try to find different environment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're saying you just need to ask yourself, do you even want to work in this type of environment when you're having toxic bosses? What do you think if you're going to just approach that boss and like straight away tell him or her that?
Oh, no.
I mean, leaving is something that you can always do, right? I mean, that's like not a problem. So
you can always.
What do you think? What would be the outcome if you're going to straight away tell to the boss that what you think about that?
I guess you would feel better, but it wouldn't do any good to your career, because he has power over you, right, in the hierarchy. So it's a tough decision to do that. Obviously, that would lead to firing you or something like that, because they don't really take this constructive criticism very well. That's why I'm saying it's probably better to reconsider your career options, or if you don't have any, just play your long-term game and wait for the either opportunity that will give you a chance to change this boss, or just privately feed him with the ideas so he can be happy, and keep him friend, like type of approach that keep your enemies closer.
Okay. From time to time, of course, in the companies and in larger companies, there are skip level meetings as well. What do you think about that? Can you promote that idea on the skip level meetings?
You probably should, but in my experience, those skip level meetings don't really work. I have been working in the company where if you're at the top level and if you have good connections and good relationships with everyone, they don't really see you as a toxic. So the only people that realize that you're toxic are your subordinates. So the problem there is that when those subordinates go to the skip level meetings and they tell your toxic boss's boss what you're doing, they might be actually the even more toxic ones. So they might not be, but they might have the good impression on this guy, on this boss, right? So how does that work? There are risks.
If just one person says that, okay. If two persons says, maybe you can ignore. But if there are a lot of opinions, I mean, it should be like that something is going wrong.
Exactly.
No?
This is what I said. Like, if it gets to that point where everybody is unhappy with the work environment, then those skip level would work, and company would have to make some decisions. But in my experience, lots of people are still okay with the toxic bosses, for the reasons that we already discussed. Because generally, average Joe doesn't really have that much ambition. He or she is okay with their day-to-day lives, and they don't want to risk anything. And unfortunately, this is the type of most of the times this is the case.
But that's the people we are talking about right now. This type of average people and the youngsters who are in the middle or the early 20s who are just trying to strive in the career and just go in the upper ladders and just what to do. No?
Yeah. But again, like I said, but they are not not all of the workforce, right? You have all these married couples as well, and older people who has higher risk to just risk anything related to leaving your job. So this is what I mean. This is where it actually gets tricky. So those young people that you mentioned, whoever has the ambition and the justified reasons to tell the story on the skip levels, they can probably risk it, but it's difficult for the others. So what I mean is it's very rare that it gets to that point where everybody's against one person. It's usually some number of people that can be, I don't know, like somehow suppressed, because this boss that we discussed, the toxic one, he or she already has the good relationship with the upper level management, because they are usually not as toxic to their bosses. They're only toxic for the subordinates, and this is what happens. So that they have their trust, and it's most of the times it doesn't work. In my experience, again, it could work in the companies that have really, really strong working culture. I don't know, probably something German.
Okay. Yeah. Then, what are your thoughts about the AI integration in the nowadays works?
Oh man, yeah, AI
Because
everywhere
I know
nowadays.
that you worked
Yeah.
in the Revolut with the AI chatbots as well. Am I right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, even my recent post was about, why don't I discuss that? Yeah, even though, generally speaking, I'm an AI enthusiast. I love working with ChatGPT, with all sorts of GPTs, Midjourney, video creators. I just like to play with them, check how can I monetize them. I watch tons of videos, and basically I've been using ChatGPT Plus since it was launched. For one thing, I can say that if you're using them correctly, it definitely makes you smarter, and you're just very well informed. But again, tricky part is to use them correctly. You can be using them for all sorts of stupid shit.
Job-wise.
Job-wise.
Tell me job-wise.
Let's going back to job-wise. Okay, so what I didn't like about automatizing everything at Revolut, they were trying so hard to make their chatbot stronger. Chatbot is basically the first responder to the customer support. Like you're texting with your issues, and you always, obviously, you have this robot that is answering to you. It already knows the most common questions.
Right, and if it's not resolved, then you go to the human being.
Exactly, yeah. But the thing with this is, the smarter you make this robot, more questions they can ask, they can answer. So they're trying to eliminate the need of the human touch, like, completely, which makes a lot of financial sense, right? Because less humans you need to answer,
and you think
less
that's
cost
bad?
you have. I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying it's very difficult to do that. At least the way AI is developed for now. Maybe in the future. So this is what I mean. Like they would in order to be successful on the market, you need to be aggressive and you need to be super innovative, and you need to take these risky steps, right? So you need to try to have stronger bot than your competition. So that's why everybody was focused on developing this thing in a way that it cuts more cost than your competition. So you have less human customer representatives than your customers, so you pay less and you have more profit. Problem with that is it's still not at the level where most customer would prefer talking with robot.
Really, I really love talking with the robots, to be honest.
You do?
Yeah.
That's pretty rare, I would say.
I'm saying that because they are
depends on your issue.
They are
right?
answering straight away what I want. Okay. And again, if something is unclear and we didn't get through it, okay, then I'm redirected to actual person.
So from my perspective, what you're telling me right now, by my perspective, I mean I've seen lots of data about this, right?
Okay.
So what you're telling me is that most of the times your issues are not as tricky.
True.
Not as, yeah. And even if they were, you're type of tech guy, you're familiar with those tools, and it's easy for you to understand what the robot is saying. The problem comes mostly for the older generation, and by older I don't mean people, even people above 50, they are struggling with this. So what happens? What really happens?
That's the research you had in Revolut?
Not research. This is the data that I was working with.
Okay.
Yeah, I needed to know these things because one of my goals. I was production operations manager, so one of my goals was one of my job requirements was to improve the product itself. So I needed to explain to my executives what was working with the product and what wasn't, and how could we cut more costs. Like, why do we need so many human support, right? Maybe the bot can do anything. But again, the reality is that 70% of people, maybe even more, like roughly 73 or 4, it changes time after time. But during my period, it was around 73. They would just cancel the bot, and they would just straightly prefer to go to the customer representative, even though it could be like 1 minute.
True. But
issue.
we're talking about in the future perspectives and what's going to happen.
No,
in the future.
future is definitely robotics. I'm not saying they need to stop doing that. It's a very good goal to have. I just wanted to outline the current reality. We're not there yet. At least Revolut is not there yet. Even though they try super hard and they have so many smart engineers and everyone, they are still not there, right? Probably when the population, when the younger generation grows, and when the younger people come into workspace, probably that's the time when it's going to happen, when it's just going to be robot and human.
Right. So since a lot of things will be replaced, okay, in the future, what will be your suggestions? Are there any kind of professions that physically won't be able to be replaced by the
for sure,
AI?
customer service.
Well, I mean, what would be the really?
Yes.
Is that something that AI cannot replace?
No, they can. You were asking. Whether
I mean,
AI could.
what would be your suggestion from the new people, okay, who just want to choose career? What kind of career should they choose? I was thinking more about, for example, it would be really hard to replace a doctor or someone, let's say a lawyer or something like that. I don't think that customer representative won't be replaceable, no?
They definitely will be replaceable. That's what I'm saying. Customer representatives, but as for the doctors and some of the traditional institutes, probably not. At least not for the next 10 years. How do you change a surgeon?
We are that close that even after 10 years.
I'm just wild
There's a
guessing
possibility?
here because I have no idea, honestly. But as for the customer representatives, I'm sure that it's going to be fully robotic very soon, because every high-tech company is trying to do that. It's very costly to have so many people working just to answer the calls and reply to the chats, when the task is not really not as complicated that robot couldn't do. The only reason I would say they are still there is because lots of old people, older generation, prefer this human interaction, while younger don't really care. So when they grow, and when the older grow older and eventually they die because of the life cycle, probably that's the time when customer representatives won't be necessary, which is unfortunate. Lots of people will lose their jobs. But as for the advice that you asked me and recommendation for the younger people,
You would never recommend to start customer representative.
Nobody really wants to do that, right? The customer representative is type of job that mostly people go for the money.
Even as a starter.
Yeah, no. What I would recommend is try to learn how to learn, because the way things are moving forward is everything changes so fast. So the real skill to have is to quickly adapt and try to quickly learn. We will always have these types of innovations because, as you mentioned, AI is growing super fast. Everything is getting, digitalized. Tech companies are the future, and try to be ahead of these things and try to be a quick learner. So something new feature comes to ChatGPT or any other AI, be the first to learn it. You will definitely take the advantage of that. I'm assuming that's the best way to approach current business industry right now.
Okay. Now, in the current industry also, there is this thing which is called a cultural hustle. So to speak, you just have to work really, really hard in order to go further and with any kind of means, etc. But the downside of that, and the other coin reads that you might burn out yourself. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever burned out on your job? And what are some kind of signs that you are close to burnout?
I've never really been that guy, to be honest, who is sacrificing his health just to get get far in the career. But I did have some moments where I was reaching my limits, because my limits are probably way lower than those who you just described. Who is ready to sacrifice everything.
So even without sacrifice, you were still able to achieve really high positions. So then what's the secret? So what would be the advice for the new ones? That's really good since you've done that without any kind of sacrifice.
Of course, without hard work, nothing is going to move forward. But like I said, you need to be really forward about your thinking, really progressive. You need to be a quick learner, and you just need to try out as many things as you can. Especially for the young people, because it takes you ages to really understand where your good skill set are. And it's really important that you realize what your strengths are at the early age, and you try to focus on, just come up with one skill that that you are better than most people. It doesn't have to be,
What
super
was that for you?
I would say probably the ability to have this friendly relationships with everyone. That always helped me, and that's probably one of the biggest skills in the corporate world, because it's still run by humans. So more people, more connections, more good relationships you have, it's always going to help your career.
And how to be more friendly? Let's suppose, if you are really a close person and you just want to acquire that skill, If you just want to acquire that skill, how can you do that to be more friendly?
Well, the only one way is to jump out of your comfort zone and try to approach. But one of the things that they taught us in the MBA was the importance of networking. And lots of people had this question: what if I'm very closed and introverted person? How do I do this? It doesn't come natural to me. They were saying just put on your big pants and still try to get connected with people, because that's the only way to learn communication. Nobody's just going to come to you and open the conversation if you are this unapproachable, closed guy, right? So you need to change that. But what I said is that's my skill. It doesn't have to be necessarily that skill that having these good relationships and communication
but
skills.
It worked for you.
It worked for me. Yeah.
If, let's say, you're having a team, and in the team you have a person who is really closed and they just want to be more friendly, what would be your advice?
Just get yourself out there and
just to hang out with you.
Because probably I can. They just need to loosen up. They need to. At some point, you need to learn how to approach people and how to. Several books that I would recommend. There's literally a book named "How to Get Friends" or something like that, right?
Probably
Dale
there
Carnegie,
is.
Training. Yeah, there are tons of trainings and books that they can read, but the actual, real, practical advice is to just try to get in the crowds and approach people. Get comfortable with getting rejected, getting no for your investment opportunities, for your friendships, for your relationships, for anything. That's the only way to socialize and get better at socializing itself.
Okay, that is good advice. Yeah. What do you think? What could be some other skills that can help you just to skip that sacrifice and just move to upper ladder?
Oh yeah, just be really, really good at your job. Be very technical, know everything, work harder than most people. There was also saying that you're above 70, like you're winning the race against 70% of people just by showing up on time every day.
Just to show up and something's gonna happen.
No. What I mean is
that's
at work.
Thing,
No, just by showing up at work on time. Only 30% of people do that, generally speaking. So if you do that, you're already taking this, maybe small, but advantage over most people. So it starts from there. And if you work harder than everyone, and if you implement this,
But that's what we are saying, that not to work that hard.
You mean like
because
getting there without working that much?
No, we started from the hustle culture, which is to
hustle
just
culture.
maybe like sacrifice something. And you
got
said
off the
that
road,
you didn't work that hard and you
Oh,
had
okay.
any kind
Yeah.
of sacrifices, but you still achieved the operational positions, etc.
I mean, maybe I didn't put it really well. I didn't work as hard on the technical part, but I was working hard on my relationships and my, my
Okay, so
communication.
that's
So
most important, not the
not
job itself.
that's most important for me because
But that worked for you.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Find something that you're good at and focus on that skill. So it worked for me to focus on getting better at the communication. But if for someone, as you mentioned, that doesn't come naturally, they should probably focus
They
on
should
something.
struggle. They should
No,
struggle and just work.
they should focus on something else.
Okay, so
In-
what
in
would
what
that be?
they're-
What else? What would that be?
They should find out themselves. Are you good at, I don't know, playing piano? Are you good at coding? Are you good at? I mean, you don't have to be exceptionally good. You just have to be better than above average, and from there, you just need to work as hard as you can on that skill that comes natural to you, which means that it's naturally easy for you to learn that kind of skill, and that puts you above the market. That's the way to advance in your career. Besides all the strategies and learnings that we've already discussed. So, what are you good at, for example?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm terrible at almost everything.
Almost everything. Well, I can
Can't even
tell
say
that.
that. We are friends. You should tell me that.
I would say probably it's again, you're a psychologist by the learning, and you do all these trainings, and everybody seems to enjoy that, right? So you
Well, yeah,
focus.
but the idea is that all my trainings, they are pre-planned. Okay, I know specifically what I need to say. Okay, how I formulate that, that's different. But I have
Yeah,
like
but
the
the
agenda.
delivery, the quality of delivery is
Oh, yeah,
fine,
that is
right?
something-
That's what
yeah.
I mean. So that's your skill. So how you at some point you probably realized that you were doing that well, and that's where you
Above
focus.
70%, yeah. True.
Doesn't even have to be 70. Probably 50 should be okay. Above average is always good. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my advice. Because I don't have any other advice. So there has to be some sort of sacrifice, some sort of lonely night, some sort of sitting in the dark room and trying to push yourself hard, because that's probably the basics of growing. But if you don't sacrifice anything, and you can't just I understand what hustle culture mean, but hustle doesn't necessarily translate to being lazy. So hustling requires lots of skills.
No, that's not lazy. That's like to work extremely hard
Yeah.
to achieve something, but then the other side is that you might burn out yourself.
But
Okay.
you mean like with the with some sort of shortcuts?
No, not any kind of shortcuts. Just outworking everyone. But when you're outworking everyone, you might burn out yourself. So where's that line that you just need to stop? And because burning out is not a good idea, right?
Yeah. Well, in that case, probably if we're talking about burnout, it's strictly related to time management, right? And for the time management, yeah. I'm being told that it's time out. We
What?
need to finish shortly.
Bu saati galiba değil mi? Arar. Aa, Okay, so we discussed a lot of topics. And just to go to the summary part, I remember that before you went on your MBA, you had a lot of thinking to do, because you had remotely really good job here. And plus, you recently got married, and even the baby was coming, and you still decided to just go and take that step and to take the MBA in completely different country. For some people, just to take that decision without like putting aside the wife and the baby is already really hard decision. You put like all three at the same time. How was that? What was the experience? That was it even worth it? Can you speak about that?
Oh yeah. I mean, that's classic me, right? Either not doing anything or doing everything at the same time. But yeah, going back, I'm already here. I already finished the MBA. Then I worked. Then I came back. Baby is happy and healthy. Fortunately, everything is good. But yeah, if I had to assess the investment, especially for people from here around our regions, like Lots of people approach me on LinkedIn from Ukraine, from Armenia, from Azerbaijan, even people from Turkey, sometimes from Asia as well. And they're asking me, is it worth it going in UK doing the MBA? In my case, it's Manchester MBA, which is an excellent MBA, really. It's worth in terms of learning, amazing experience, lots of networking opportunities. And in terms of life experience in the different country, it's very difficult going from such a warm Tbilisi and from our region going to a place where it rains every time. Food is off. I have to say that nothing tastes as they supposed to. And
compared to our country, for
oh
sure.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And compared to many other countries as well. No offense to the British, but yeah, they really need to improve their cooking or their ingredients. I don't know, I'm not the expert in the topic, but I can say that everything tasted bad. But as for the investment in the MBA, if I had to go back and decide whether to do it or not,
Yeah, that was actually my next question. I mean, if the time would turn around, would you do the same?
it's really tough question because now I know the outcome, and now I really feel like it improved me a lot as a person. I learned a lot to work in different country and learn independently. And
I think
but it was
somewhere is but, yeah.
but
Which
it was
but is
too
that?
much. It was too much when if you're freshly married and if you're expecting a baby, it was too much. I think I took too more than I could handle by then. So it was really really stressful. And later we had to my wife had to come back to Georgia and concede here. Because my wife has EU citizenship and she didn't really have the student visa in the UK, which made things really, really complicated. And then I had this lonely 9 months without wife or kid, and the kid was growing without me. So my experience was especially difficult, and sometimes I would it was difficult to focus on the learnings and career. But as for the quality of the MBA, it's still there, even though the traditional education is, kind of going like this. I think it's still worth it. It gives you lots of learning, the consulting, real life consulting projects.
So would you
Where
do
you-
the same or no?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Yeah,
You
but
wouldn't?
my situation was different. I wouldn't because I wouldn't do everything at the same time. I might have done it now, right now, when the kid is already almost 2 years old, and everything is fine right now.
So
And
suggestion is like be single and just do the MBA?
yeah,
Or?
suggestion is do it without at least not with the baby because it makes things very
That
very
makes sense.
difficult.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, try to
Okay.
handle it with and just not do everything at the same time. But yeah, if you're not really thinking about starting a family in the near future, then it's probably the best option to advance in your career. It gives you so many opportunities to learn and to connect with people and to basically get to a better job market. Even though UK job market is not what it used to be, it's still way way better than compared to our regions. Georgia and our neighbors, let's call them like that. We don't really have as many international companies. We're not as big market to operate. Even if you're going on a solo entrepreneurial journey, it's still better to do it there, either in UK or, if you have the money in US, definitely. But if you're thinking about the MBA that gives you good quality and is affordable, that's probably UK is still the best place to go. Because in Europe, MBA is not as recognized as in US and UK. And if you have a lot of money, or if you're exceptionally good, and if you can get the scholarships, then just try to target US because they have definitely way better job market.
All right. Did you have like people on your MBA who were also, or at least with the similar situation as you are? like with the family and stuff like that, but they are still willing to do that. Have you ever talked to this type of people?
Oh yeah, many times. But nobody was really expecting the baby. They were just already. Some of them were with the kids. Some of them were just lots of them were just married. They
I
were.
mean, were they happy with their decisions that they are still here? Okay, they are still
So
learning,
I
and
can tell you about one Indonesian guy who
okay.
came with 4 kids, which is something I do not understand. How did he
How to make
manage
four
to?
kids?
No, I think I do understand a little bit of that, a little bit about that, but I don't really understand about how did he manage to. I don't
And
know.
have you
To
talked to that person? Have you
Yes, and he
shared
was
the
he was always
experience?
stressed, like myself, but he was way more focused than I was. I don't know. Maybe it's my personality, and maybe I've learned something about myself that it's very difficult for me to focus on complex different topics at the same time, and take care of the baby at the night and do the job the next day and learn as well. I don't know, especially when you're hunting for the job, it's already a lot of pressure, and when you have wife and kid back in Georgia, and when you have to travel whenever you get free time, it's very stressful and it's very exhausting. Yeah, the difference is that that person had all of those 4 kids and wife there. I guess it's still not the same case because he was sponsored. He didn't have to pay for, his wife also had the visa. He was sponsored by the Indonesian government. And he was also much older than me, like around 40 years old. I think his mind was already uh, more developed or more mature than I am.
Okay.
But yeah, still he was very stressed as well. In my case, it's definitely no. Looking from this perspective, it's no with the wife and kid, but it's a yes if I was single and without the family. Basically, yeah, don't get married, don't have children, and you'll be happy in your life. You
Right,
know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. If you're career wise and you just want to stick there. Okay.
Even if you're not, just don't get married, guys. I mean,
No, I'm just saying.
my wife is right there. I'm just kidding around. I love you, baby. Wow.
I'm just saying that. I mean, I'm not married. I don't have a kid, and yeah, I don't think
Yeah, good for
that.
you.
I don't know. I don't think
And
that I
look at you,
struggle in that field.
you're so successful.
That's not a problem. But yeah, I mean, when I try to imagine your situation, I think that I wouldn't have been able to do that for sure. I mean, in a completely
Yeah,
different
I was
country.
hardly able
But
to
that's
do
just
it.
me, okay? But you really handled it well, which is really impressive. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like I said, it was really stressful, but I learned something about myself, and now I feel like I'm a better person, or at least more mature.
Yeah, you indeed are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's just go to some other part about what would be your suggestions. What are some kind of the jobs that would be still in the perspective in the future? Okay, even though that some of the jobs might be replaced with the AI, what
Yeah.
could be like really good suggestion from your perspective after you are having obviously like vast knowledge, all
Yeah.
right, in that
Yeah.
field. And what are some of the professions that you might suggest to the new ones? Okay, I mean, I would do this, I would do that.
Oh, definitely you should like in addition to exceptional communication, which I think everybody has ability to learn. It's very beneficial nowadays to be able to code or to be really good with the data analysis. You have basically the more tech skills you have, more in demand you are on the market. So try to focus on learn at least SQL. So you have in your resume, lots of tech companies are requiring that. Then the project management skills, which is, I'd say, if you get inside the corporation, then they take care of all these leadership trainings and everything. So it's really easy to learn, pick up from that. But it's sometimes really difficult to land the job without those, communication skills. So I would say the mix of technical and communication skills would be really helpful. At least you need to be good with the data and with the numbers, and you need to be tech savvy as well. So younger people, yeah, spend more time on learning those skills. And once you are in the high performing tech company, then it's easy to take off from there. You know, they take care of you, they teach you, and you wake up in 10 years and your life is okay. You have good work-life balance. You made some proper investments. And yeah, you have this job security as well because you're in demand. And like I said, continuous improvement and always try to be quickly adaptive and learn how to learn. That's the biggest thing nowadays. So you really need to be open for innovations that come all the time in today's life, and you need to adapt quickly to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, nowadays also, it's common sense that not even like the university degree matters that much at all. Do you think that it's still really valuable, even university or like the master's degree?
Like I said, MBA itself and masters and education still does have the value, but like you said, the diploma itself, it depreciated quite a lot. So what I suggest is don't go just for the diploma itself because nobody really cares. Go for the learning, go for the networking opportunities. Find like-minded people, find what you like, and if the price is okay and if you can afford it, then definitely do it. Masters is still
Okay.
very
Will like
important to
some
do.
kind of certificates count? What do you think? I mean, if you were the person who is hiring, would you take and would you hire someone who doesn't have
No.
degrees or has just some kind of certificates from different things? Doesn't matter.
Uh, no, that doesn't tell me anything. You just need to judge by their experience and how well they can articulate those experiences. So if you're a good hiring manager, you will definitely know whether this person is qualified or not. It shouldn't add any additional value if they just bring up some random certificates, even though if they might be very prestigious. I know that some companies require in some specific areas some sort of certifications. I know that it's a big thing to have CFA, for example, in the audit and in the financial sector, where it probably does matter because CFA is actually a type of certification where people have to put a lot of effort in it. But I guess my answer is that it does matter in some of the industries and sectors, but most of the times some random certificates such as, I don't know, leaderships and everything, it's mostly for your learning. They don't really add any value to your resume. Because I know I've just been interviewed for so many jobs and nobody ever brought it up that I know that it doesn't really matter. What matters is that you need to have strong understanding of your area. You need to be able to explain this to everyone and articulate well, and that's the only way to sell yourself. You need to be qualified at first.
So you still need to have the degree, right?
Not degree per se. I mean, you need to be educated. It gives you benefits, but the degree itself, like the diploma, like
Yeah, from the hiring perspective.
from the hiring perspective.
Yeah, you said that if you were the person who's hiring, you wouldn't hire someone who doesn't
No, I
have
would
degree.
hire. No,
Did
I
you
would.
say you would not, and
No,
that
no,
the
I-
certificates would not matter, even certificates wouldn't matter at all?
I'm saying that some certificates do matter, like CFA certification in some sectors, such as finance sectors. But if I were the hiring manager, and I don't know if I wasn't necessarily in the finance, it wouldn't really matter whether this person has lots of different certifications or they are just qualified. I don't really care, where they work. I just need to understand that they do understand their topic and they can articulate in a way that I understand that they know it. So what I mean is,
So what you
yeah,
mean
they
is
don't
that
matter.
in the requirements you wouldn't write that you need to have this,
Exactly,
this, this. You just
and
need to be well aware of the field that you are coming.
Exactly, and neither I would, let's say, perceive as an additional thing to to their qualifications if they just tell me that they are certified here and there. Again, depending on the sector, but most of the times it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, you're still
Yeah,
gonna give the task,
exactly.
right? And
If
they
I
just need to
like
do
the
the
person,
task. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
There's lots of way to assess their abilities, and it doesn't necessarily have to be their certifications from the past. Not to mention that it can be falsified as well.
Okay. I guess that summarizes our conversation. That was really insightful, I would say. And okay.
Thank you, Rezi. Hopefully, we'll do I don't know, some more episodes as well, depending on how we like this one, how we edit it, and hopefully next time we'll be focusing on you. And
We'll see, yeah.
and later maybe different experts from different sectors, because we've made quite a lot of connections during our career. And with one of the reasons, like we discussed, is that we can let everybody know how many people are actually in the job market and they have their own challenges. And, it would be always interesting what types of inputs they have.
Right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, man.
All right.